I'm here at Maxwell Food Center, and today we are following global pop icon, Grammy-winning singer, songwriter and model Dua Lipa in search of the best food trail. There are tiers to popularity. If you make several social media posts that go viral, you can get to a few 100k followers. If you make a few hit songs, you can get to a few million. But then, there's a tier above that where you go global and you spot a whopping 87.4 million followers like Dua Lipa. I bring this up because I'm looking at the lineup that we have for today's food trail and I'm wondering, how did Dua Lipa just walk into Maxwell Food Center, have her meal and get out without causing absolute mayhem? Maybe that's the trick. Even when people go like, hey, that girl look like Dua Lipa, they will have their friend go like, hey, yes, yeah. But no lah, you think what? Dua Lipa will just be queuing for Atai chicken rice in the middle of the day? Wake up, eh? Which brings us to the first stop of the day, Maxwell. Dua Lipa and her crew order what we Singaporeans like to call whack, not to be confused with the Gen Z term whack, which refers to something uncool. Whack, usually accompanied with this hand sign, means to order with no regard for budget or eating capacity. Unfortunately, I have a debilitating regard for budget, so I'm gonna have to pick the more interesting ones. Anyway, enough yap, let's get it guys. 白鸡腿饭一包加给谢谢 Two things. First of all, how did Dua Lipa just walk in here? I haven't seen this for a while. This hawker center is fully packed. I cannot remember the last time I saw a hawker center with every seat taken. So I had no choice but to go for dabao. And the second thing is, I did something super un-Singaporean. I queued 1 hour for this. I believe most Singaporeans have never queued 1 hour for chicken rice before. And like 80% of the people in the queue are not Singaporeans. Walking through Maxwell now, right, is like Duolingo. I'm hearing a new language every 2 steps. Anyway, I got the 白鸡腿饭 with Gian, cause I like chicken rice. And wow, even before starting, this already outclasses the previous chicken rice we had in episode 2. Something only good chicken rice have, aspic. So you see this slimy, transparent jelly on the meat itself. That happens when chicken fat is cooled down and gelatinizes back into aspic. I wouldn't describe this flavor or texture as particularly appealing, but chicken rice connoisseurs always hunt for this. It gives the meat an incredible slippery, almost sashimi-like quality. Sometimes recipe will even advise you to shock the chicken in an ice bath to quicken the gelatinization process. Anyway, let's try the rice first. Wow. No wonder so many people tell me Atai better than Tian Tian. Hits all over the place. Where should I begin? The meat tender and slippery, and at the same time flavorful. You can tell that this has been cooked in a proper chicken soup, enough for all of the flavors to permeate, not leaving a bland chicken. The rice, the fragrance just comes through with such a nice oily chicken fat flavor to it. Like many Singaporeans will tell you, good chicken rice, you just eat the rice enough already. The chili providing the spiciness and the acidity to cut through everything. And even the Gian. I cannot remember when was the last time I had tender Gian. Most chicken rice places, they just blanch it and they don't really care. And it's usually a little crunchy. This has a snap, but inside is all tender. I almost want to say that this is one of the best Gians I've had. I'm a little caught off guard. I was like led to thinking that this is another tourist trap, but this is proper. There is, however, one miss. This batch of rice is too wet. You can see how the rice are like clumping together, a bit mush, and on top of that, the oiliness is a bit over as well. This is not uncommon for chicken rice, but I still believe that chicken rice, the rice, still needs to be 粒粒分明. Even though it's absorbing a lot of flavors during the cooking process, the moisture at the end of it still has to be controlled really well. And this might just be an issue of like not fluffing up the rice, letting the steam escape during the last step. A minor miss in my opinion. Cause they go through so much rice daily, each batch is gonna differ a little bit here and there. So overall, still pretty high marks. Let's go get a dessert. 原味啊，Kueh Ko Swee. So Dua Lipa also had Lao Ban. Some of us might remember the rise of Lao Ban like 10 years ago, where it was the most trendy thing in town. It seems that only now the news is traveling in the tourism space. But you and I both know that it's a fat thing. I'll get the original Tau Hui any day. Dua Lipa also got some Nyonya Kueh, specifically the 九层糕, but I couldn't find it. I think the store is probably closed today. So I got Kueh Ko Swee instead. Or what should this be called? Palm sugar cakes with coconut. Anyway. This is a soya bean pudding. There really is nothing much to it. I think your nearest convenience store probably sells something like that. Not very interesting. The more interesting one should be this Kueh Ko Swee. Oh, this is good. The starch acts like a vessel for the gula melaka, and it sort of opens it up for you to taste more of it, and you can really get the fragrance and the nuances. Something that is pretty clever is that they hide a good bit of salt in the coconut flakes, and that really makes the flavors pop. And $2 only. Okay, all done here. Let's move on to the second stop. We are back at Katong 328. If you have been around on the channel, you know that we spent 3 months finding the best laksa in Singapore, and there's already an entire video on this place, so we're just gonna keep it succinct. I want to clear up a misunderstanding. When I say one plate, right, it does not mean that the score is 1 out of 3. It means that I will walk for the dish. What it also means is that a 1 plate rating laksa is better than any laksa sold by a bak chor mee store. Cause I'm gonna keep it a buck. All those are instant laksas. They just get the paste and then they add hot water and then stir. There's not even belacan inside, I think. Even a 0 plate means that enough people are talking about the place such that it will bubble up in the comment section. So while I did give it a 1 plate, I think it should still be really impressive for someone having laksa for the first time. That said, it's not my first time. I am now not comfortable with the level of spiciness. Not that I cannot take the spiciness, because obviously we just finished the Mala series, but I think it just throws the balance out of whack. And that really is the only miss. Comparing with my ideal, which is Sungai Road Laksa, I think the spiciness need to be tuned down, the saltiness tuned down, the laksa leaves tuned up, the coconut milk needs to be more fragrant, the noodle to ingredient ratio needs to be closer, there's too much noodles with not enough ingredients to support it, and the hums are totally cooked, which makes them very quiet. It's really a little like playing with the equalizer. The song is great, but if you have a top tier sound engineer mixing it, it will sound completely different. Okay, let's move on to the last place. Now I know I need to order the crab when I eat at New Ubin Seafood, but I just don't feel like it. It's so uncomfortable ordering something so expensive that is so hard to eat, that offers so little insight into what a restaurant can do. Like from a culinary perspective, all you get to see is the restaurant mix a sauce with ready-made ingredients. It tells me about the same amount as like the chili on the table. This is the sambal for the Hokkien Mee. We start with Hokkien Mee. Hokkien Mee is a dish that can profit a lot from a higher budget. But this is surprisingly soupy. Not much ingredients also, considering this is $30 odd. But the most expensive thing in Hokkien Mee is the noodles, not the ingredients. Anyway. Hokkien Mee just does so well when you put money into it. All the flavor that you invest in your broth all gets sucked up by the noodles. Like I say in the Hokkien Mee series, these noodles drink harder than your degenerate friend, and the dish overall profits so much. You get all that seafood flavor colliding with the lard, which they give quite a bit of. It's really what Hokkien Mee is about. After the flavor gets a bit much, you go in with their specially made sambal, and then you regain the appetite again. What a great bowl of Hokkien Mee. But if you keep Swee Guan in mind, there are some things lacking. The noodles aren't fried enough. I'm not sure whether it's intended to be like that, but normally for Hokkien Mee, they'll fry the noodles one round first before feeding it the stock. And these noodles, I don't really see any marks on them, nor is the fried flavor coming through, which makes this Hokkien Mee very mild in this aspect. It's like 福建煮面 rather than 福建炒面. Obviously, Swee Guan goes way overboard by like burning it very hard, and that doesn't sit well with some people. But I would at the very least expect the noodles to be fried a little bit. And then there are smaller means like having broken shell in a very slurpable dish, and the lime is missing. I'm not sure intended or not. The chili is a tiny bit sour, but I could have used way more acidity. Moving on to the steak, arguably the dish that put new Ubin Seafood on the map. The dish that was on everybody's Instagram story at one point. But I have the same thoughts as when I first saw it on Instagram. Isn't this just boy dinner? I made the exact dinner for myself 16 times. You have leftover rice in the rice cooker, you sear up a steak, you use the rendered fat to fry up the rice to be, economical with it, and also not to wash too many pans. All that is missing is 2 fried eggs, and it will be what I had on a lot of Saturdays. Anyway, today we have USDA Choice, which is quite a budget cut. For those of you who are not familiar, it's USDA Prime, Choice, and then Select. Choice is like an MB score of 2 or 3, if I remember correctly. But it's cooked very well and has a very nice sear on it. So, not a luxurious cut of steak by any means, but brought to its absolute best. I like cooking this kind of steaks at home because you don't feel the pinch because it's a cheap cut, and yet it's still plenty good. But overall, still just a third steak. What is more interesting is this heart attack fried rice. I never liked the name heart attack, like it's so negative. Just call it tallow fried rice. I also don't believe that fried rice should be indulgently oily. There is a correct amount of oiliness for fried rice, which we experience at Eat by Jeremy Leong. Too little and the rice won't be flavorful. Too much and it will be revolting. So let's see how this does. Huh? Why is it so sweet? I think they crossed the line with the dark soya sauce. A touch of dark soya sauce in fried rice can really give a very nice layer of flavor. You should try it at home. But when you cross the line into being sweet, right, it really kills appetite. And just now I said about being too rich, this has crossed the line again. It's too oily. Don't misunderstand me as someone health conscious. If you have even watched 3 videos of mine, you'll know that. But being on the same plate as the steak, when you have so much flavor and fattiness from a ribeye, this fried rice just drives the car down the hill. I found that one of the best sides to go with steak in my 3-month steak journey is Japanese white rice. There is nothing that rounds off that rich, fatty flavor of steak like white rice. I almost always pair my steak with white rice and chili oil and fried egg and spring onions when I cook at home. The way it can support the flavor of steak is something that mashed potatoes or roasted potatoes cannot do. And lastly, the texture of the rice is off. You can see that the rice grains are broken and sort of clumping together. This is because the starch has broken down too much from either overcooking or being physically agitated. So the rice grain does not have its individual integrity already. Not a big miss. If this happens at home, you'll just close 2 eyes. But this plate is gonna cost me $100 maybe? Anyway, we also get 1 little teaspoon of caramelized onion. What? Huh? Still got a little bit of crunch. These are not caramelized onions. This is barely 15-20 minutes, I think. Not even caramelized onions. Zapji ko kaya roti jakima is what my mother would say. But I'm not my mother. So, $12 for kaya bread? Sheesh! We get homemade kaya and allegedly French butter that is not at room temperature. Let's verify if this is French butter. Okay, it is good butter. Interesting that they salt the butter themselves and not get the salted version. Because I'm not sure if you can see the grains of salt on top. There is no quality difference between salted and unsalted butter. It's just that with salt, you can taste way more of it. But we are here for their homemade kaya. Buns are very nicely toasted as well. And you can see the rough texture of it, suggesting that they made it themselves. It's not creamy like the factory kind. The most expensive kaya roti I've ever eaten. You can really taste the pandan and the coconut. There's even a spice to it. A very high quality kaya. So much so that it's a pity that there is so much sugar inside. I kind of want the sugar to like back off a bit and just let me enjoy the original ingredients. Is it worth the $12? No. In fact, I would go even further and say that this should be free. You cut down on the portion and serve this as a complimentary starter, much like the bread service for Western restaurants. You will earn enough from the other dishes already, just give me this bread for free. Cause serving this as a dessert doesn't really make much sense either. Nobody eats bread at the end of the meal. Is there a cuisine that eats bread at the end of the meal? Not a single one, I think. Anyway, we are done here. I'll see you guys at the cafe. We are now at Glass House, also in Chimes, and I got myself iced chocolate. So anyway, recap. Maxwell is actually kind of OP, I think. It is one of the rare places where tourists meet local. Like not just the chicken rices, the fish soup, the wuxiang, the roasted meats, all doing pretty well. And then to Katong 328, it is like our Ichiran of laksas. I'm sure to tourists it is very delicious, but then there is always that local that has something more to say. And thank you to you all for actually being willing to listen to it. And then lastly, to new Ubin Seafood. I just realized it's kinda unfair that I ordered the two dishes that I did a whole series on, Hokkien Mee and steak. Despite that, I think the two dishes did decently well. Hokkien Mee enough flavor, steak seared well, two of the main criterias. And while I was going up to the counter to pay just now, I realized that they had a lot of private rooms. The layout of the restaurant is almost like a KTV. I didn't ask if there was a minimum charge, but it's probably an amount that you'll hit anyway if you dine there. I think it should be quite nice to host overseas friends here, but if you want to min-max on the dish, then probably not the place. So, time for the verdict. 1 plate I'll walk for the dish, 2 plates I'll take a bus for the dish, and 3 plates I'll go anywhere in Singapore for the dish. And today's food trail is 211. I don't know if it's possible to ever give a 3 plates to a chicken rice. Because no matter where you are in Singapore, right, there is a great chicken rice a bus ride away. Whether it be the Gombak one, or the Katong one, or the Bedok one, or the Yishun one. Not 925, but there are so many great ones. I'm not sure that even if I do a chicken rice series, right, can I ever give out the 3 plates? As for new Ubin Seafood, the other dishes on the menu might be better, but if I could only guess the quality of the other dishes based on what I've tried today, I won't be too optimistic. Not that it's bad, like I shared about the 1 plate definition earlier, but I'm willing to be patient with my next visit. And that's all I have for you guys this time. I'll see you on the next video. Bye!